Yellow paint. Those two words are once again stoking the fire on gaming conversation around the internet, with one half hating it and the other half defending it. It honestly feels like a yearly occurrence when a new game comes out and dares to use this forbidden color and people get frustrated. This time it's Final Fantasy VII Rebirth getting the blame. But let's take a step back. What is this yellow paint I'm talking about? In this context, yellow paint refers to the common visual game design trick to guide players by marking climbable surfaces with a yellow color. It might be a ledge of a building, pieces of a rock wall, or maybe a ladder. Some games also use it to highlight interactable objects. Its job is to differentiate a path from the rest of the environment, so players have clearer information of where to go. Unfortunately, this often comes with the problem that the yellow color does not blend well into the existing environment design, causing the immersion to break for some players. Playing the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth demo, the yellow paint didn't actually bother me too much because the game has much more stronger ways of hand-holding, but then I started to play the new game Banishers: The Ghosts of New Eden and was hit with this, and this, and this. Suddenly the 16th century wilderness didn't feel that natural anymore, and I realized, damn, it does bother me, and here I am making this video. And the yellow paint phenomenon is interesting, as I totally get why they are doing it. As a game designer, the last thing you want is for players to get lost and frustrated, so you make sure that doesn't happen. But here's the thing, players want to be guided, but they don't like to know that they are being guided. Being guided through a game, avoiding frustration, is important for having an enjoyable gaming experiences, but when you realize that you are being guided, it can feel disappointing, like the game is babying you. Getting negative feelings like does this game think I'm stupid can be much more pervasive than getting lost and frustrated. It is a difficult balance to achieve, and I don't envy any game designers having to deal with this issue, and I applaud those that can use creative and natural ways to do it. One of my favorite ways games guide the player is light. Using light sources as waypoints is such a smart way to tell the players go here, as the light sources can be blended into the game world naturally. I also appreciate less subtle ways like the classic Far Cry trick of putting ropes hanging from ledges, letting you know you can jump there, which actually Final Fantasy VII Remake also used with the grappling hook. Or Assassin's Creed using clear building geometry to know what is climbable and what is not. You can also go totally opposite and having your game's visual identity fully based on the guiding color, like the use of red in Mirror's Edge. Compared to these, the normal use of yellow paint just feels too direct way to handle the situation, as yellow is too intrusive of a color. For example, in Banishers, ledges that are climbable are marked with a white texture with some yellow in it, while everything else went with full yellow. And the white does not bother me too much, but the yellow does. But why is that? It took me a while, but then I realized that we are so wired to react to yellow, as it is the most attention-getting color. Think of high-vis jackets or traffic signs. So when we encounter things marked yellow in games, it really gets our attention, but also heightens the chance of breaking immersion because it is so obvious. So why don't games use less intrusive colors, or maybe changes in contrast to show players the path? Are we really at the point where something like this or this wasn't enough and the game had to use bright yellow? I want to believe that it is always the last effort, that after getting data from playtests, the designers decided they had to take this extreme route and it wasn't something they had in mind from the beginning. But why is the yellow paint such a common thing in gaming nowadays, but was much rarer 10 to 50 years ago? Well, that I think is quite obvious. As hardware progresses, the games become more detailed and visually complex. 15 years ago there was processing power to only have limited amount of geometry and textures on screen, making the correct path much clearer. But now, with modern hardware, games can have very complex environments filled with different kinds of clutter, so games require much more forceful guiding. I remember games like Uncharted using it sporadically, but back then they could get away with using much more muted colors, and its use was grounded in the environment design. And as time has gone forward, the yellow is getting brighter and brighter brighter, with Horizon Zero Dawn probably being the one popularizing its modern use. But to be fair to Horizon, they did have an in-universe reason for it, which does make it a little less annoying. For me, the problem definitely comes from when the yellow doesn't blend well into the rest of the environment design, and when there is no in-universe explanation of why it's there, just like in Banishers for example. It usually just feels lazy and a desperate measure having to be taken because of lack of time or creativity. And finally, I wanted to provide my own critique against the 3 popular defenses for yellow paint I've seen pop up. The red barrel defense, the HUD defense, and the accessibility defense. First up, red barrels. I've seen a lot of people mention that complaining about the yellow paint but not complaining about red exploding barrels is hypocritical. And true, both are using attention-grabbing colors to guide the players in some way, but I think it's not that simple. Red barrels are an icon. They are an archetypal object infused with unconscious meaning through decades of video game and real-life influence. The color red is a symbol of danger and risk, while a barrel is a common vessel for oil and chemicals. Together, they become an exploding icon. Outside of that, red barrels are a gameplay mechanic. Seeing a red barrel does not automatically make you go, I know exactly what I need to do, but instead provokes a challenge of how do I utilize this in the most effective or the funniest way. Meanwhile, yellow paint rarely produces the same effect, as its job is to guide and not create extra challenge or fun. Next up, the HUD. I've seen some mention that who cares about if there's some yellow paint in the world when there are already HUD elements on screen. Isn't the HUD already more immersion breaking than the yellow color? And on the surface level I can see where the argument is coming from, but once again I feel like there is a difference. As we play games, we take HUD for granted. We can instinctively understand that HUD is just for us players and is not part of the game world, excluding the times the HUD is diegetic. But the unconscious separation is more difficult with the yellow paint, as it's clearly just for the player, but also part of the world. So I don't mind HUD elements unless games go overboard with them. Like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth already has this blue sign for traversal that works well, and even Banisher still has the HUD element on top of the yellow surfaces for traversal. Having both just feels unnecessary. And then accessibility. Popular argument is that yellow color is a necessary accessibility feature important for letting more people enjoy games. And I agree 100%. Accessibility is so important, and having more guidance through complex modern game environments is probably crucial for some people. My question is that if it is an accessibility feature, why not make it a toggleable setting? Most games nowadays have a robust accessibility settings menus, providing important features for a lot of gamers. I feel that for games the first priority should always be creating an immersive environment for players to explore, and if somebody needs more guidance, they could toggle a setting that would enable the yellow paint or other type of guidance. When it is a choice left to the player, then it wouldn't produce as harsh feelings when you know that you are being guided. This reminds me of the great setting in few modern Ubisoft games, where the games let you choose between exploration and guiding, with the first one giving you only vague hints of the location of your quest that you gotta figure out yourself, and the second option giving you a traditional waypoint marker to follow. I feel like the yellow paint could be implemented in the same way. And that's about it. Yellow paint is probably not going anywhere, and that is fine. Like I said, I don't envy the position game designers are in, but I do wish they would have the time to find better ways to guide players, either by different mechanics or blending the colors better into the environments, or at least making it a toggleable setting, giving players more agency about the immersion of their experience. Thank you for watching, and I hope you found the video interesting. Tell me in the comments what do you think about the yellow paint or other ways games guide you, and please also let me know what did you think about the video. I wanted to try my hand at making a more commentary style video on a recent topic. In the future, if there is a topic I feel like I have something to say about it, I'll definitely consider making more. So make sure to subscribe. Thank you and have a great day.